You know, I think we're going to see Antigua. That makes sense to me. We're going to be seeing Antigua, and I think we might see another Terran because
Um,
they do have a pretty strong Terran lineup. They've got what is this now? Four Terran players. I think they've got four Terran players, three Protoss players, and three Zerg players. So it would make sense to me that if they have as strong as a mech player as they do in JJH, they've got at least one Terran player who's got the good biocontrol and good biomechanics you need to kill Protoss at this level. And if you put that kind of player on Antigua Shipyard, I think you got a good chance sticking down depression.
yeah. Especially on Antigua. Antigua isn't very toss friendly. Once toss gets that third base, it's almost impossible for them to take the fourth. So you get a really good understanding of what your toss opponent's going to be playing like. Um, you have to in any matchup really, as long as you can keep the toss on the third base, you know exactly what they can get.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying on that one, though. I mean, I would like that decision from Team Ripsies, and I would like to see another TVP, to be perfectly honest. But I mean, there are other options. We've got Whirlwind available, we got Shakura's Plateau available, we've got a myriad of different ways that uh, Team Ripsies could snipe MxG and a Protoss versus a Protoss, for example. There's all sorts of different things that we could see. That decision to go for Antigua, it makes sense to me, but I don't know Ripsies' roster nearly as well as their coach and their other teammates do. So they probably have a much better understanding of what player would probably be best for killing depression at this point. And as much as you and I might like to talk about the matchups and might like to talk about what maps might be good for going up against depression, the most important factor in all of this is obviously the player. And I don't think that you or I really know enough about these players at this point to know who's got the strongest Terran versus Protoss, or who's got the strongest Zerg versus Protoss, or if they've got a strong enough Protoss versus Protoss sniper to handle depression right now. But my question for you is, if depression goes down, if you're Team MxG, are you really feeling the heat? Are you really in trouble? Is depression, do you think, one of their better players, knowing that they've already sent out another Grandmaster already?
I feel like MxG knows they have confidence in all their players. Um, I don't feel like they'd be feeling the heat at all. I feel like they'd be very supportive of their teammate and be like, "All right, good job. We got another one for you. See if you can climb this mountain." There's just mountains that they're making their opponents climb, and they're just seeing if their opponents are up for the challenge. And right now, um, you know, putting on great shows. I mean, these are just great games. Um, just standard good stuff.
Yeah, they have been very good games so far, Ajax. The last game was a little too passive for my taste, but I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna have some games of passive play, but it is gonna be a Tiki Shipyard for our next map, Ajax. So will I go 2 for 2 on these predictions, and will it be another Terran player?
I don't know. We're about to find out. Let's see who our players are. We're just grabbing them, putting them inside the lobby now. It looks like we have our depression player who's now underneath a different tag, just to clear things up to make sure that he wasn't accused of whatever. So we have our player here now, and it looks like we have.
I think this is a Terran. I think Jimmeh is a Terran.
Yes, he
Yeah,
is.
this is going to be another Terran. So, this is probably going to be a very different style of Terran. I'd be very, very surprised if we saw a second round of mech going up against depressions. So this is probably going to be a more bio-heavy mobile play, and this is going to be on Antigua. So this is the best map that you could do this for, realistically, as far as I'm concerned, for this current map pool. So I like this decision by Team Ripsies to go for this particular combination against what MxG has thrown out against them. And Antigua's going to be gone after this. So Ripsies does have the stronger Terran lineup. Like I said before, Juro was the only Terran for Team MxG. And this is going to be their one opportunity to use Antigua. So after this, they have no more like really super heavy Terran favored maps, except maybe Shakura's Plateau and Terran versus Zerg. So we'll have to see how that plays out if if how the series goes on after that. So we are going to be getting into this or this game, because the lobby is already actually just in front of me. So we should be getting into this game in just a little bit. It's going to be game number 5 coming up in just a moment.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking to see how Jimmeh plays. Jimmeh does look familiar. I believe I've seen this name before. Not totally sure. Didn't check his rank, so don't have too much information on that player. But he's going to be going up against a very tough opponent. Um, Now named CC Clam or C Clams
It's
or Calms.
Calms.
I'm sorry, sorry,
Clams.
my dyslexia, my dyslexia kicking in for a second. We have depressed clams over here, I guess. Um, but yeah, I
Depressed
guess
seafood.
depressed seafood up in the
Depressed
top corner.
shellfish.
Up in the top, we have our blue Protoss player here, Calm.
I have a funny story for you right after this that's kind of like related to that. You could probably tell it too. But first, we have to give our introduction for our Red Terror player. He is playing on the team ZeeZ, and he is coming out on Antigua Shipyard. He is Jimmeh. Okay, so Ajax, I think we have a funny story we can tell people while this game gets going. You have a funny experience with shrimp, don't you?
Oh yeah, shrimp's trippy.
I mean, the funny thing about it is that like Ajax, whenever he actually eats shrimp, he has a funny thing where he always gets nightmares after that.
Yeah, it's something just chemical, I guess. That shrimp just trips my brain out. Yeah, it's not very pleasant. It's not something I like to talk about. Go back to that.
It was just funny because they were thinking like depressed shellfish, and I'm like, well, what about nightmare shrimp? Nightmare Shrimp would probably be an excellent clan title, or an excellent like just video game title or something like that. But I've never heard of anybody else who has like a particular thing where they can't eat a certain food without getting bad dreams about it, or bad dreams just related to it, or something like that. So I've always found that a very interesting characteristic. Like I said before, if you guys are wondering how me and Ajax know each other so well, we are brothers. He is my younger brother. He is much better at StarCraft than I am, but we are. I think we make a pretty good casting duo, which is why we're here in front of you today.
Yeah, just standard play out of both. It looks like Comms are going to be doing the same thing he did last game. Just that Sentry expand into very heavy upgrades. Again, that Squirtle-esque kind of Protoss play. And
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to see what Jimmeh does.
yeah, he is going for this again, and that is actually a much earlier gas than we saw in the last game. Or is it? That's a 19-second gas. I don't know if we saw that. I don't know if we saw that gas quite as early as we did on the last game, but I mean, this is playing out very similarly into the way that Depression played that first game. He went for the earlier gas timing. He went for a really, really safe sentry opening and went right into double forge following that. So I do think that is very indicative of the way that Startail Squirtle likes to play. I know there's probably other Protoss players out there that have this particular style as well. I don't want to not give them any credit for it because I know that you can't give a single play style attributed to one player, but that's usually who I think of when I see this sort of very early heavy upgrade timing. Now the one thing though is that I don't feel like Colossus are as strong of a choice on this map, and
Whoa.
that would actually be a good enough reason for me why you would be a little bit different in this match right now, because we have a Twilight Council going down. It is hidden in the smoke. Now the question for you, Ajax, is this going to be Blink or is this going to be Dark Templar?
It looks like it's going to be DT drops. I don't know. This could go either way right now.
I mean, we've seen a lot of this, or at least I've seen a lot of this lately when I've been casting games. This, to me, looks like it's going to be an Observer coming out of that robotics facility, and this is going to be a Blink coming out of this Cybernetics core. And I really like this decision on this map. The last time I saw it used was on this map was MC versus Marine King in the last GSL season. The one from the Group of Death, where you had Symbol, Squirtle, MC, and Marine King in the same group, that Group of Death. The last game of the MC versus MKP series actually had MC going for this sort of Blink Stalker timing on Antigua Shipyard. Now, I like this build on this map because the way that this map is laid out, you've got two ramps leading from the low ground to the high ground. It makes it very difficult for you, before you get stim, to really keep up with the mobility of those Blink Stalkers. So, and also you've got the fact that you can hide Blink Stalkers in the smoke, hide them here on this second, this kind of mini ramp over here that leads into the main. It's a really nice build for Antigua Shipyard. How is it going to work out?
I don't know. Jimmeh saw it. He knows what's coming, and it looks like our Protoss player now knows uh, that he saw it. So, if Jimmeh places down a bunker, um, he should be able to hold it. I'm a little worried he's not responding enough to it. Um, stalkers are going to start accumulating, and once that stalker hits that magic number where you can just blink all over the place, you're very safe as Protoss. Especially with a high level, amount of APM and stuff, you're able to keep those stalkers alive.
Depression was actually being very reckless with that observer. He needs that observer if he wants to be able to go in and out of Jimmy's base at will. Now, I've talked about this before, but Blink Stalkers are actually really good against just straight Marines, especially when Stim's not on the field. So I actually think that this unit composition for this engagement is going to favor our Protoss player a little bit, but the Blink cooldown is not actually ready. But there goes the first Blink down to the low ground, and now we're going to be seeing Blink after Blink down to the low ground. A little bit of an overblink there from Depression, but he still has some Stalkers in the main base. He's going to be able to get the remainder of these Stalkers out before he takes too much more damage, and there he goes. But still, a lot of good amount of damage done by Depression, but there goes the Observer. The Observer was sniped down by Jimmeh, and like I said already, Depression needs that Observer. With that Observer gone, we actually have a second Observer out on the field here, so that's really nicely done by Depression. Here comes the secondary Blink in, targeting down that Marauder, immediately knowing the amount of DPS that Marauders can do to these Stalkers. And look at the Stalker number now. There's still no Stim out on the field, and all these Marines are actually going to go down. And with no bunker, and with the Stim actually being completely destroyed and canceled by these Stalkers, this is not looking good at all for Jimmeh.
Yeah, I don't think Jimmeh reacted enough to this. I think that little, exchange of words from his opponent gave him a sense of security, saying, "Oh, I now see it," and he knows I see it. But no, he just came along with it. He said, "You know what? I'm already this far ahead, or this far into it. I might as well go all the way." And it's paying off for him. And I don't think he's going to be able to hold this with proper Blink Micro, no Tech Labs, no Marauders out. He's not going to be able to hold it.
He needed a bunker, Ajax. The moment that he saw that this build was coming, he needed a bunker in his main. He needed a bunker by the smoke. And we now have so much more additional Stalkers actually coming into the high ground over here. All of these Stalkers are just going to completely eliminate everything that Jimmeh has. And there's the GG. The GG, rest in peace me, I think that was. Rip me. Is that actually what Rip ZeeZ me and rest in peace ZeeZ? I don't actually know. Somebody who knows...
bro? I think that's who they're talking about. ZeeZ, like, you Myron, bro? I believe that's what it is.
I'm not sure. I mean, the funny thing is, if you read the Team Liquid thread that we have up right now about the ISTL, half the comments in there are just Rip ZeeZ fighting. Like, I don't know like what the significance of this name is, but clearly it does hold some significance considering the way that these players keep using it in the chat. So I'm actually curious, especially considering that Rip ZeeZ has put on such a good showing. I would really like to know what their clan title actually means, but maybe it's just an inside thing that I'm not meant to know. I don't know. But what I do know is Depression's good, man. Depression's good. He's killed 2 straight Terrans in a row, and he killed Jimmeh on Antigua Shipyard. I was so confident that that map pick and that race pick was actually going to go over well for Team Ripsies, but there's never a good enough time to plan an all-in except to get your team like further ahead like that. So well executed and well planned build for Depression, really kind of mixing it up here. He went for 2 very, very polar opposite styles in Terran versus Protoss, and he executed them both very well.
Yeah, and I feel like he knew that map was one of the maps, like, oh, they're going to use a sniper for this map. They're going to get me on this map, so I'm going to do something that I feel confident in. And he went for that very aggressive Blink Stalker build, which paid off completely. I mean, gave him the W.